All right, we're recording.
All right. What is going on, our fellow film podcast lovers? This is Only Films Podcast, and joining us today is Trace from Pierce Productions and Jared from Jared Talk Cinema and myself, Brad from Let's Be Real with Brad. And today we're going to be talking about tons of great topics today, including Shang Chi, which is the newest Marvel film that is going to be released 2 weeks ago by the recording of this video that you guys get to listen to it. 2 weeks, 1 week, who knows? But we are super excited to talk about spoilers and talk about another great question that you will not want to miss. So, how you guys doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I have a lot of videos I need to record this week. So yeah, tomorrow I'm going to do 3 videos back to back to back. And so there'll be a lot of content coming out on Pierce Productions within the next week.
Yeah, doing pretty good too. I'm excited for Malignant this weekend.
Oh, is that
Excited
this
to make a
weekend?
video about that. Yeah, that's this weekend.
Ooh, it was under my radar. I definitely got to check that out. Knowing Brad, he probably already saw it.
Yeah, did you?
Dude, there's no like screenings for it. I checked like everywhere and I was like, there's no screenings for it. And then I even checked in like LA and in the New York area, and there's no screenings there either. And then I went on Letterboxd and it said people had already seen it. So then I went to IMDb and it said that it had already released in other countries like this past weekend. So people in other countries have already seen this movie. And it's getting solid reviews on the people on Letterboxd. I usually trust them for the most part. So I'm excited for it. I have a couple screenings this week. Everybody's talking about Jamie and the card counter, but nothing for Malignant. So that might be HBO Max release because there's no Thursday night show for it. So that kind of stinks, but
Yeah.
still excited for it.
Yeah, James Wan doing horror again. What's not to love?
Nah, I agree with you. I actually rewatched Insidious the other night, and I enjoyed it, not as much as everyone else did, but I've actually never seen Insidious 2, which he actually directed that one. So I'm going to watch that tomorrow. And another horror film that he did, kind of horror crime movie. It's called Death Sentence. No one knows about it, but it's the last James Wan film I have to see besides Insidious 2. So
Insidious 2 is pretty good. It goes downhill after that once he stops directing, but Insidious 2 is pretty good. Did you see, I think it's called Dead Silence?
yeah, I actually watched that one a couple months ago and I thought it was okay. I felt like the puppet aspect of it was kind of creepy, but I don't know. It did the best it could. I wasn't huge on it though.
Yeah, it's not one of his well-known ones, but I mean, it's not terrible.
Yeah. But you gotta love Furious 7 and Aquaman though.
Fury 7 is good. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm
Aquaman's all
talking
right.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
Jared, what about you? You're pretty quiet. Are you a James Wan fan or no?
Yeah, I love the first 2 Conjuring movies. I've only seen the first Insidious, which he did not do apparently, so I haven't seen the rest of the franchise.
You guys
But no, I
sure?
haven't seen Death Sentence or Dead Silence. Like, isn't that the one with the puppets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That gives me like Night of the Living Dummy kind of vibes. So I might have to check that one out. But yeah, no, I've only seen the first 2 Conjurings then and Saw, of course, from James Wan.
Yeah, he did do the first Insidious. He did the first and second.
Oh, okay. Then I've seen 4 of his movies. Well, Fear is 7, so I've seen 5.
Yeah, because I was like, I know he's worked with Patrick Wilson a bunch of times. I was like, I know he directed it. Yeah.
Can always figure it out that way.
Well, unfortunately, today's topic is not about James Wan. What is the first topic today?
Who wants to talk
I'll
about
say
it? You talk about it.
We're going to be talking about Shang-Chi, the latest MCU movie, finally released after a 7th-month delay.
Super pumped.
Dude, I love this movie.
I think we're all in agreement on that one.
Yeah. I wish I had watched this movie opening weekend because I saw it 2 weeks ago. So a bit of the spoiler reviews, it's going to be a little weary. Like I still remember most of it, but there might be small details that, the Brad that I'm good at doing with the details might not be there today. So we could still get into it though.
You poor soul. You got to see it a whole 2 weeks early. Now it's a problem as a business.
Can we start with not talking about the movie, but talking about our theater experiences? Did you guys have like good theater experiences with it? And then we can talk about like specific scenes.
There was no one in my theater.
Really?
Well, I saw it on Thursday night, so like opening night, but before the weekend, so that might have been why. But
Hmm.
actually, I drove by the theater today, and the parking lot was really full, and it was full the last couple of days too. So I think it made a lot of money. But on Thursday night, it was very, very, very slow.
Brad?
I mean, for me, I had wonderful because it was all fans that showed up to it. Obviously, I did the advanced screening for it, and people were going nuts for it and just loving it. So I had a really good experience for it.
So I watched it on Friday, and when I saw it on Friday, the theater was pretty chill, and everyone was excited, but it was just pretty chill. And then I saw it again last night. Today's Monday the 6th, so I saw it yesterday the 5th, and I saw it in Boynton, which Boynton Beach is like 50 minutes south from where I live. And I went and checked it out, and it was a totally different theater experience that I had than Friday. This one, people were like super engaging and cheering and clapping and like bellowing laughs. And it was usually like, obviously, heckling and stuff like bothers everyone. But I think there's a big difference between heckling and like, I can tell when someone is genuinely like super excited. And I'm sitting there, and the people behind me, like the bus scene, we'll talk about that, but the people behind me were going nuts, and they were being genuine. Like they weren't doing it to be annoying. Like they just could not contain how excited they were. And that got me excited. I was like, yeah, man, like, yeah, it was just it was way different than Friday, and I loved it. It reminded me of Endgame because people were losing their minds in Endgame, and that just made the movie better. Is because I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, like these other fans, like I thought I was a fan of the MCU, but these guys are freaking crazy. They love it.
Yeah, I had the similar experience where people were cheering, especially the post-credit scenes where people were losing their effing mind. The bus scene as well. The audience was very much engaged, like you were, where people were laughing and stuff. And like I do think that makes it like a really really fun experience. But I think that also adds to like why people love the Marvel movies is, and that's why people go out to the Marvel movies is because it's a theater experience. Like you don't get that with a lot of other movies. And I wish it was like that. I'm not going to lie to you, but it's nice that we can have something like Marvel that does put out good movies and that we can all get excited and cheer and kind of come together as one. Because so many times we just kind of hate each other and just always talking shit on the internet about what's your favorite movie or not. And this is the nice kind of movie that we all needed.
Agreed. And I saw people at that theater, all different races, all different ages, and we were all able to lose our minds over the same movie for a character that is relatively unknown to most of the general audience. And I mean, that's just like to me, that's just like one of the beautiful things about movies is someone from around the world can I may not know anything about their culture, but if me and them like the same movie, we can talk for an hour about the love of that movie, even though we've never met and don't share the same beliefs or whatever.
How excited were we all going into it?
I wasn't really that excited, to be honest. I was excited because I love going to the movies, but I didn't really know too much about the characters, so I couldn't get that excited. I was excited seeing the reviews, but I don't know anything about the character. So I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that I was counting down the minutes.
It certainly was.
uh
It was my
yeah,
7th most anticipated. Sorry, good.
no, you go.
I was just saying it was my when I did my list at the beginning of the year for most anticipated movies, I had it at number 7 most anticipated for the entire year. So I was very, very excited.
Yeah, same as you. I was pretty excited for this movie as well. I thought that I couldn't wait to get into the theater. At least for me, I was, had the advanced screening, but I was also very much interested in it because the director Daniel that Destin Daniel Cretton. He's done some pretty good movies that I mentioned in my review. And so knowing that you have a good filmmaker always works in the Marvel universe, because if you notice that when it's not a very good filmmaker, where they've kind of done mediocre bad movies, most of the time they don't really work out. Like something like the Thor movies with Kenneth Branagh. I'm not a huge fan of his movies, and that's why I don't think those movies really worked. But then when you have something, like Black Panther or Ryan Coogler, he's made great movies. So I think that also adds to it, and just being able to have fun. So that's why I was excited for it.
So, what did everyone think about the opening scene? Because me personally, at first, I wasn't really into the opening scene of it spending a little bit of time on the father. I didn't really understand where they were going with that. I felt like it was a little bit too long. I wanted to just meet Shang-Chi and get into that. And then once the father, and I forget his mom's name in the movie, I forget, but once they started fighting, it wasn't even fighting. It was more like dancing almost. And once they got into that, like I was totally hooked, and it like totally changed my mind about that opening scene. I loved it.
I was thinking like how many different factions and worlds are there in the MCU that no one's heard about for until like the most recent movies, because that was like 1,000 years with all the fighting and like creatures and stuff. And first time we're ever seeing it though.
Yeah, I mean, for the opening scene, I thought it was good. I feel like it really set the tone of what this movie's going to be, and gives us that epic feel that we're going to expect. Because I think a lot of people didn't really know what we're going to get out of this movie, and so like seeing that, I feel like really set the tone. I could see how you thought it was a little bit too long. I didn't feel that way, but I don't know if other people felt that way too. I have no idea.
Well, once he met the mom, the wife, like I wasn't even noticing how long it was at that point. Like because I was invested in it. But at first, I was kind of like, okay, get to Shang-Chi. I'm ready to start the movie because I didn't know that he was going to go and like meet Shang-Chi's mom and stuff. I didn't know that that's what they were leading up to.
Yeah, I can completely understand that. But what was your guys' favorite action scene? Because I thought the action in this movie was absolutely incredible. For me, I feel like I could pick the bus scene. I'm actually gonna go with the scaffold scene. I thought that scene was awesome. I thought it was really well shot, where they're just hanging outside this building. I thought it looked so cool. The choreography was insane. Simu Liu just did so many incredible stunts by like going over, flying through this thing. I was just like, wow, this guy's really doing the stunts. And you could tell everyone else is doing the stunts as well. And I don't know. I thought that was really challenging to shoot because it's like outside of a building and you have to make it look real. What about you guys?
I think it might have to be the bus scene, which it's been a good year for bus scenes on movies because we had this and Nobody a couple months ago. But yeah, the bus scene was just so cool because I wasn't because I heard everyone was talking about how good the action was, but I didn't expect it to be the way that it was, how choreographed and how much martial arts there really was and everything. It was just so cool. Like we've never had anything like that in the franchise before, and it was awesome. So cool.
Yeah, definitely the bus scene for me. The second viewing, I was eagerly waiting for that to come up. That was the scene of the whole movie that I just had my jaw on the floor the entire time. And I don't know if I'm saying it because I just saw the movie this weekend twice, or if maybe I need like a little bit more time. You asked me in a year what I'm going to be thinking, but as of now, I'm going to go ahead and say that this movie has the best fight scenes and choreograph of any Marvel movie that we've had so far.
Oh yeah, Totally agree with you on that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it it's we've never seen hand-to-hand combat like that in a Marvel movie before. And something that it like in the past we've had, nobody had hand-to-hand stuff. John Wick has had a bunch of hand-to-hand stuff, but this, it blew those types of movies out of the water with their combat. And yeah, I mean, I can keep going on about that. I don't want to go on a ramble, but whoever choreographed this, they have a humongously bright future ahead.
They need to make an Oscar for best choreography and give it to this movie as like the first award.
I would not be
Yeah.
upset.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I also think like the directing is also really good and some of the editing choices because you all feel like there's like a cohesion between all the scenes because they have to do so many takes between all these different fights that are overly complicated and I feel like really hard to pull off that I was really into it. One movie I want to recommend that I put in my review, if you guys have ever seen The Raid, the Indonesian film,
No, I've
yeah,
heard so much about it.
like if you like this kind of action, then you gotta watch The Raid. It's a little bit better than Shang-Chi, I have to admit, because it's more brutal and violent and just kind of goes all the way with it. But the action is probably some of the best choreography I've ever seen, and I think people and it deals with a lot of mixed martial arts, so it's really cool.
Yeah, I've heard a couple people do comparisons between this and the Raid, and I just haven't checked it out yet. So I think that if I loved this movie so much with like the fight scenes and stuff, I mean, I'm probably gonna love the Raid, right?
I would assume so. I think you'd probably think Shang-Chi's better just because it has a better story and characters, but the movie in The Raid is more focused on like the violence. And I can't really get into why, but it really is like the whole movie and it does evolve the plot. So it is a little bit interesting in that aspect.
Jared, you look like you were about to say something.
Oh no, well you just brought up the characters, so I want to talk about the characters like Shang-Chi. Like I'm always excited to see a new Marvel character because we haven't had one in 2 years since Captain Marvel. So what do you guys think about the character of Shang-Chi and some of the other characters that we got?
You know what? He's definitely one of my new favorites. I mean, Simu Liu really did a phenomenal job. I mean, the fact that like this guy was in like movie stock images and he made it all the way to being a Marvel superhero and really pushed for this movie, it just goes to show like he truly cared about this role. He cared about trying to make this the best character he could. And I think it really shows. I think that he makes the character what it is. But I also think that I don't know. They just made him a very complicated and interesting character, which Marvel's very good at doing, but he's just so likable. And I feel like we haven't had that where Captain Marvel, I think she's going to be better in the next one, but they had a hard time of making her likable. They made her a very wooden and kind of very boring character. And I don't know. I think Shang-Chi was just easily killed it. It made me want to go read the comic books. Like, I'm not going to lie. I bet everyone wants to now.
Yeah, it definitely made me want to delve into his history. He is going to quickly become one of my favorites in the MCU. Yeah, I ate it up.
I,
One
I like
thing,
how he was. Sorry, go ahead.
no, no, you go.
I was just gonna say, like, I like how he was actually kind of like an anti-hero too, which I didn't really expect. But like, there's a scene where he was literally about to stab the dude. I'm like, whoa, it's pretty violent for a Marvel character. Jesus, like most Marvel characters wouldn't just straight up stab someone, you know. And he said he's killed people in the past, being an assassin, and he's kind of he feels kind of bad about that. So yeah, I thought he was really the darkness to the character was really interesting.
Can we talk a little bit about, because Brad brought up his favorite scene of like the skyscraper and stuff. Can we talk about that whole sequence of like not just the fighting, but like them going to, I forget what that place was even called, but going to like the arena and like walking into it and stuff. Can we talk about that real quick?
It's really funny. Those are the
Yeah.
entry level fights.
Yeah.
I thought the arena scene was cool. I don't like how it's just there for the trailers. That I think is probably the most disappointing aspect, because like, yeah, it was funny, but if you really think about it, it doesn't really need to be in the movie at all, unless it wasn't in the trailer. I think it was something that shouldn't have been the trailer at all, and I think they threw it in there because they thought that, oh man, it's a Marvel reference and Abomination and Wong, and you want to see how that's going to go, right? And then nothing happens of it. It's just there for the trailer and for the poster with them on the bottom, right in the corner, and just to have Benedict Wong in the casting, like, ooh, he's in the billing, he's in the top billing cast, he must have a big role, and it does it. I'm not like disappointed over it. I'm more of, it's because they just did it for the trailers. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't care if he's in or not. I thought it was a good Marvel reference. Like, if I hadn't seen a trailer or I hadn't seen the poster, I still thought it was a nice little reference. I just think Marvel overdid it with the trailer on that.
You think so?
I really do.
Well, a
Because,
lot of people lost their mind when they saw Abomination.
well, we already saw it in the trailer. So it
That's
was
what I'm
just like,
saying. No, that's what I'm saying. Like from the
oh,
like who like you're arguing against it, but at the end of the day, whoever made that trailer did their job because they put a scene in that they knew was going to make people lose their mind and want to come and check out that scene. And so at the end of the day, whoever made the trailer did their job right. But I
well,
do get what you're saying about throwing that unnecessary scene in there real fast.
yeah, like as a big, massive Marvel fan, I thought it was awesome. Like, don't get me wrong, but it just feels like they just did it just to market. And like, yeah, they did a good job of it. I totally agree with you. I mean, it could be a small, tiny reason why people came, because like, oh, it's giving me a reason to watch it because it feels more connected to the MCU instead of just feeling so solo. You know what I mean? I just think that would have been nice just to kind of be like, holy shit, like you actually see it in the movie itself.
Mhm.
Because when you see it in the movie, you're like, oh man, that's cool. I bet it's a really long fight scene. And it's like 3 seconds. And they're like, oh yeah, see ya. And you're just like, it was just like a big fuck you. And I just don't think it was necessary. But something like the post-credit scenes was actually really fucking good. And I'm glad that obviously they're gonna hide that, but that is the way to do it with having references.
That was actually the one thing, the main thing I was disappointed with in the movie was how they used the abomination. Which if that's my biggest negative, that's good because that's like a really small thing, like a nitpick there. But yeah, like he was in the trailers when it first showed him. I had to rewind a couple times. I was like, is that him? What the hell? They're really gonna put him in here? And yeah, he's barely in there. And like he was almost like it was like a comedic thing with him and Wong. Like Wong knew his first name apparently. It seemed like they were friends and everything. But in the Abomination, that dude's like in the Incredible Hulk. The Abomination is like a terrorist basically. Like he kills like a ton of innocent people and whatnot. So he's going to be in She-Hulk, so I hope that explains it more. But yeah, I thought that he was going to have a larger role, and it was really disappointing that it was just that one like comedic scene.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, because I think for me, it just feels like a reference just for the sake of reference. Like it didn't. Again, what is it going for? Is it going for a joke? Like it was that scene in Thor: The Dark World where Thor is talking to Loki and he turns into Captain America and he talks like him. That was for a joke and it worked because it was funny, because it was actually part of Loki's powers and kind of making fun of the Avengers. Like, oh, I gotta talk like Captain America here. I thought that was a good joke. This is just here for a reference, and I don't know. It's just for people to go, oh my god, Abomination! I can't wait to see him, and then you didn't need it for the movie to work. I don't know. I know it sounds nitpicky, but if Marvel just hit it, I think I would have been okay with it.
Well,
Well,
it made me more excited. So that's what Trace was saying, that it worked for the marketing aspect of it.
speaking of like nitpicks and stuff that bothered us, like obviously we all love the movie and we're going on about like why we love the movie, but since we're kind of already on that topic, it seems like now with like nitpicks, so maybe we can like expand on that a little bit more. Brad, was that the only thing that you had a problem with? Or was
Uh,
there anything else that you think could have been better or left out?
yeah, so I have two major ones. One is the visual effects. Basically with the CGI towards maybe the middle of the film, I thought looked quite bad. I'm gonna be honest with you. It didn't look like the characters were truly interacting with that lion. it looked so incredibly fake. And I was having such a problem with it. And I kept thinking, like, did anybody else notice it? But when I went with Maddie, she said the same thing. So I thought like I was losing my mind because no one had really brought it up. And then my second negative has to be when he does get to the warriors, when they're all there. I thought it was good, but the movie you're kind of just waiting for the final battle, and there's just kind of just exposition thrown at you, trying to talk about the world and get into some of the characters, and it feels very meandering, and the dialogue just doesn't feel as on top shape like the other ones, like other scenes were. And normally I love dialogue scenes, and I was just like, okay, we're already here, we're just waiting for the bad guys to come, so let's just have them come. Except for that backstory that Shang-Chi talks to, I think, where's her name? Katie? That's her best friend. Yeah. And when he talks about that scene was really good. But other than that, I was just kind of waiting for the battle to happen because you're just sitting around.
Jared, what about you? Anything that bothered you or maybe could have been improved? What do you think?
Besides the abomination, I just had one other kind of small thing, which was like in the original Iron Man, the Ten Rings actually kind of kick off the entire MCU because they're the ones that attack the convoy and they kidnap him and everything. And that didn't really tie into Shang-Chi. Like ever since that movie came out, I was excited to see more of that kind of backstory. And the movie even has 10 rings in the title, but it didn't really tie in. It tied into Iron Man 3 a lot, which was cool, but it didn't tie into that original Iron Man. Like I never would have guessed that's supposed to be like the same organization. So like, the continuity was just a little bit off, I felt.
Well, if that's your biggest complaint, I
But yeah,
mean,
exactly.
yeah.
Oh yeah. So pretty tight movie overall.
So for me, you talked about the CGI. I wasn't bothered by it. I didn't notice the CGI, so I can't speak on that. But something that, something really super stupid and super small that I noticed the first time, and then I kept noticing the second time, was there is no way that I'm believing that Shang-Chi is 25 years old in this movie. I'm not believing that. Because
Well,
I did the math with him, like adding up the time frames and stuff, and he's roughly 25. I'm not buying that.
well, hang on. Yeah, at the beginning it said they met in 1996. So presumably he was born in 96 or 97. I was born in 96. So I thought that was kind of cool. But don't forget the movies take place in the future now. All the movies take place in 2023 or 2024. So actually he's more like 28, 29.
Oh,
And the
okay.
actor is like in his 30s, I think. So I thought it was fine.
Okay. I didn't factor that in. Okay.
Yeah.
So
It's
really
so
he's like
weird to think.
29.
Yeah. I'm assuming he didn't get snapped based on the way they were talking and whatnot. So, and his age, that it's so weird to think that every single Marvel property is now in like WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, they're all years from where we're currently at, which I think is pretty funny.
Gotcha.
Everyone seems to forget about that though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So that's something that I can actually throw that idea out. So now there's only one thing that bothered me. The first time I watched it didn't bother me, but the second time it seriously stuck out like a sore thumb. And I was actually kind of rolling my eyes a little bit at Ben Kingsley. The Trevor character, I get why they threw him in there, but I think they used him improperly. I think there was too many like silly jokes he was trying to do and like mannerisms and stuff like that. Just his whole character stuck out like a lot. I rewatched the Trevor scenes from Iron Man 3, and it's a like he's still a little bit silly in Iron Man 3, but in this one they like upped it, and it was just like when I was watching the movie, I was kind of rolling my eyes at the Trevor character a little bit. Um, but like if that's the only thing that really bothered me, like he's literally in the movie for like 5 minutes. So overall, it's not a big deal. But if we had to pick something that bothered us, that would be it for me.
I totally see where you're coming from. I found the Trevor character to be kind of annoying. I would disagree though that maybe it's not a big deal because he's also a plot device to get to where they're going.
And I get that. Yeah.
So like I can understand why you didn't like. I thought he was funny. I do get where you're coming from, where I felt like they overused him, where there's scenes that didn't need the humor and they just went with it anyways.
Yeah.
And it was like the same joke, like, oh, he's faking something. Like that was the running joke. He was just faking something. And I just got really annoyed with him. Yeah, Iron Man 3, I know what you're talking about. He's very goofy in that. I feel like he worked perfectly more in the Iron Man films because they're always kind of more of a jokey kind of movie. You know, there's a lot of humor to it, where Shang Chi doesn't really always have that. So I just thought he was kind of annoying. But that's a nitpick too.
Well, I don't know. I thought this movie was actually pretty funny. It had a lot of big laughs in my theater at scenes, and so I don't know. I would have to rewatch Iron Man and this back to back about the comedy and stuff. But this one did have a lot of big laughing scenes for me at least. But comedy is one of the most subjective things out there. So yeah.
I was happy to see him though. Like that was an example, I feel, of good marketing where they hit him, like we were just talking about, Brad. Because I didn't know he was going to be in there, so it
I
was
did
cool
not
he
know
showed up.
either. Yeah.
I only knew because there was already photos of him at the premiere on the Monday, and I was just like, why the hell do I want to see that? And like, I wasn't even looking for it. You guys know me. I don't like launch trailers or anything. And then people were like, oh man, Ben Kingsley's at the premiere of Shang Chi on the Monday in LA. And I was like, oh, so he's gonna be in it because he's at the premiere. So I was like, yo, what the hell? That's fucking stupid. Like, no, I mean, it made sense that he was in it. You know, I think so many people were mad about the Mandarin, and I thought they did the Mandarin so good in this movie. So that really, I think, made a lot of fans more happy about Iron Man 3. I always liked the twist in Iron Man 3. I thought it was funny as hell. I mean, they even mentioned that there was another Mandarin out there. So I don't know why people got so like upset over it. I don't know. I don't really get that.
Because he's like the Joker to Iron Man, basically. Like that's like the villain equivalent.
Yeah, no, I like I get that. It was just more of the fact that they did it for comedic purposes, and I thought like, oh, it was like pretty funny, and that there was actually another Mandarin out there. Um, I don't know, because then like shortly after, like they were like, oh, the Mandarin's like still out there, you know. I don't know. I get from a comic book perspective, I get it. Maybe because like when I watch like a Marvel film, I try to keep the comics a little bit separate because when you add too much of the comics into the movie, you start thinking, well, that's not supposed to be the way it is. That didn't happen in the comics. And just realizing that Marvel's just doing their own thing. And if it's a good movie, it's a good movie. If it doesn't completely destroy the character, you know what I'm trying to say? That's where I kind of draw the line.
So,
Well,
oh, sorry.
well, I was just gonna say, Brad, you had me super pumped for that post credits. Actually, I talked about that in my review. I name dropped you. I was like, "Yo, Brad was telling me this post credit scene was awesome." And when you said that, that made me feel that it was probably gonna tie. I had a theory that Hulk was gonna show up, and he did, and I was so excited. And then Captain Marvel too. Like that was really really cool. So awesome.
Yeah, I didn't expect it wasn't even Hulk, it was Bruce Banner. That I really didn't
Well, you
expect
know what I mean. Yeah.
is for
Like
him to I didn't know if they were gonna bring him back into human form. I thought he was gonna be Professor Hulk for like the
I
next
didn't even
couple.
think about that shit. I didn't even think that he was a human.
I thought he
Shit.
was gonna be Professor Hulk for a while, and I was actually really happy that he was back in human form. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but he had a sling on. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, he had that sling on, and it must have been a while after Endgame because even Captain Marvel, her hair is like down to her shoulders now. So it's been probably I would guess it's been like at least 6 months for someone to grow their hair out like that after the haircut they had in Endgame. Or I really don't know how fast women's hair grow actually. So I don't know why I said that.
You might be completely wrong.
I could be completely wrong, but definitely a lot of time has passed just from that hairstyle change. A lot of time has passed. And yeah, what do you guys think? about them investigating the rings. And do you guys think that they're alien tech, or do you think that they're really ancient, or what?
It's gotta be aliens.
Well,
Everything is aliens in
Captain
the
Marvel
MCU.
said she hasn't seen anything like it before, and she's been all over the galaxy.
Yeah, but Captain Marvel's a dummy. Okay, she's probably missed a few things.
I have no idea. I'm just gonna say ancient because it just sounds cool, but I don't know. I thought it was like the perfect post-credit scene. It's definitely one of the best ones we've had in a long time. I mean, think about
Yeah.
it though. Like it really like pushed like the other movies forward. I always like the post-credit scene where you get like a little surprise what's gonna happen. Like the Thanos, like, fine, I'll do it myself. Like all that stuff's great. But then when you get to see something like this, you're like, oh shit, like they knew this movie was going to be good and they knew they had to throw that shit in there. And it was quite awesome. It was perfect.
You know what was
Yeah.
perfect for me is we should get back to San Francisco. Or and then you see all three of them. They all maybe have had a couple drinks and they're all singing Hotel California, and Wong is there, and that was awesome. That was
That
fun.
was, yeah, everyone was
That got one of
losing
the
it.
that got one of the biggest laughs in the whole entire movie, was seeing Wong and them doing karaoke.
I was just happy that it actually, because I wasn't sure if it was going to tie in, if he was going to meet any. I wasn't sure if he was going to join the crew, but it looks like he's going to. Like, yeah, he's met like two of them already, so that was pretty nice to see.
Yeah. I have one more very, very quick thing about Shang-Chi before we move on. And you guys like don't have to further talk about it if you don't want to, but I just need to talk about it because I really actually like enjoy this aspect of it. Is Shang-Chi, the director, writer, whoever came up with this idea, understood that whenever a guy hangs out with a girl, there isn't always a romantic thing going on. Aquafina's Katie character and Simulu Shang-Chi, there's no romantic whatever going on. There's truly a friendship there. They care about each other, and like that was really refreshing not to see a forced love story. They love each other, but not in that way, and that was really refreshing to see a movie like this say, you know what? No, these guys are just friends. Like, why can't they just be friends and nothing more? And I actually truly believed that they were friends. Like their chemistry was just radiating off each other. It was amazing.
You call
Dude,
yourself Sean?
yeah, that was a great line. Yeah, dude, I honestly completely forgot about that. I totally agree with you because they could have just made it super stupid and feel forced like some of the other Marvel movies do. And I really enjoyed it. I also think that the Katie character isn't in the Shang-Chi comics because if you go on Wikipedia, like, and you see like the characters' names and they'll give like a link to like their comic book like character Wikipedia page, there was nothing with hers. So I think they completely made the character for Aquafina. And I really enjoyed it a lot. And even like the scene where he goes to her house, whatever, and they're having like breakfast or whatever. And then the grandmother's like, oh, when you two getting married? And they're like, oh no, we're just
Yeah.
friends. But they really played that the whole movie. I thought, oh man, it's gonna be a hint. And they really don't do it. And I like how Aquafina just like kind of comes along with Shang-Chi and all of this, which is kind of funny. Like she just kind of comes along and it's just like, yeah, use a bow and arrow, I guess. You don't really have training, but just use it.
Well, granted, a bow and arrow is pretty easy to shoot. I don't know if you guys have
well,
shot one.
well, I was just saying that the fact that like she was so involved when you have a lot of the
Yeah,
love interests in other
because
movies, like
she cared about him. Yeah,
yeah. And I felt like she like took the reins and she was like pretty cool and was just like, you know what, I'll get into this battle too. A lot of times, those Marvel films that like the love interest is always just
on the
not as
side.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Natalie Portman, like Jane Foster and Thor. I've always hated how they did her. So can't wait for the next fourth film though.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'll be interesting. We spent a lot of time talking about this, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because I love talking about this movie, but we do have one more topic, right, guys?
Mhm.
Well, where does everyone want to rank this movie? in the MCU. Does anyone
Oh,
have that
that's
yet?
yeah, that's good. That's good. I don't want to go first.
All right. I'm actually doing a live stream in a couple of days where I'm going to go over my top 10, and I haven't actually made the list yet. I mean, I have the list made, but except for Shang-Chi being added in there. Shang-Chi might be top 10. If it's not top 10, it's right outside the top 10, I would say.
For me, I actually was redoing my list quite a bit, and I think I have it pretty much set. And it's definitely in the top 10 for me. And not because like, I'm trying to do it because it's like, oh, like we're so hyped about it and we love it so much. Like, does it really deserve top 10? And when I really put it together, I was like, yeah, I think so. I feel like it did something different. It felt like more original to this franchise. And I felt like Marvel took chances with this character in this universe. It offered representation. It had great martial arts scenes. And the best fights in the movie were martial arts instead of the big battle at the end. And I really enjoyed the father and son relationship that I thought was definitely the most powerful. And I mean, the fact that we really don't have that many issues about it that could be considered nitpicky, I feel like it's got to be in the top 10. I don't know about you guys.
Might be, yeah.
So it's definitely in my top 10. I would even go as far as saying it's in my top 5.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I don't know what order. Infinity War is number 1. I know that. But within my top 5, though, there's definitely going to be Shang-Chi, Ragnarok, Guardians, Infinity War I just mentioned, and then probably Civil War. So, but Infinity War is going to be the first one. But Shang-Chi, I can easily tell you right now, is in the top 5. I just don't know what order, but it's in there.
Over Endgame.
Yeah, no, like Endgame was fun. Like the theater experience was awesome and stuff, but and I've seen it God knows how many times. Like I went to the theater 6 times to see Endgame,
Damn.
and like I really enjoyed it, but it's been like 2.5 years since it came out. I've had a lot of time to breathe from it. And when I'm thinking back, like really the biggest thing about Endgame that sticks out is the final 30 minutes. And for good reason, but everything about Civil War sticks out to me. Like not even just the airport battle. Like there's so many other good scenes in Civil War, and Ragnarok. Just I can watch that any day of the week, and yeah. So Endgame's in my top 10 too. It's not like I hate it, but
Good.
Shang-Chi I'll probably see 2 more times before it leaves theaters.
That's good. I'm probably going to see it a second time. And maybe I'll change my mind on some things, or maybe I'll love it even more. So I need to see it a second time.
All right, so we have our second topic of superhero fatigue, which I think is something that a lot of people are talking about, especially right now with all the superhero movies that we're getting. So, what do you guys think? Is superhero fatigue a thing or no?
I have a lot to say about this, and I can go one of two ways. I can start off because I have a full page of notes. So I can start off right now with my notes, and then you guys, like, maybe there'll be stuff you left out or didn't think about, or I can go last and round everything out.
Oh yeah, you can just go through the notes and whatnot.
Okay. Well, for my one page of notes, I do not think that there is proof of superhero fatigue right now. I think that the only proof there is that there's jackasses that want to make believe that there's superhero fatigue, and they want to hate on something that's cool and hate on stuff that gives people enjoyment. So, Shang-Chi, an unknown character, no big MCU stars to help promote it, unlike Spider-Man, which had, Iron Man featured promptly to help promote that movie. And it came out in a pandemic, $90 million in the first 4 days. Tell me how that is superhero fatigue during a pandemic for an unknown character. Loki, the TV series, first episode, 731 million minutes of view time. Falcon, first episode, 495 million minutes of view time. WandaVision, 434 million minutes of watch time. Do you guys know what happened right there in those 3 series? each series that came out, Loki being the last one, the view time goes up. WandaVision came out first, then Falcon and Loki, and each time the viewership ticked up for the first episode. Endgame, in 24 hours, the trailer racked up 289 million views, making a record. Do you know what No Way Home did just a couple weeks ago?
Doubled that.
355.5 million in the first day. How is that superhero fatigue? This movie's coming out in a couple months. People are insanely excited for it. I go back a little bit further. Logan, 2017, Best Adapted Screenplay nominee. The Academy even recognizes that. We're sticking with the Academy Awards right now. Black Panther. I think this was 2018 it came out. Black Panther.
Yep.
6 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. Joker. So now we're going over to DC. Joker made $1 billion. Nobody ever thought that movie was going to make $1 billion. People at DC did not think it was going to make $1 billion. They thought it would do good, but no way a Joker movie. No one thought it was going to make $1 billion. And then on top of that, win Joaquin Phoenix Best Actor. Speaking of Joaquin Phoenix, A-list stars are lining up at the door to get into the most dominating genre there is today, which is, of course, the superhero genre. And then my final argument about how superhero fatigue is not there is this genre keeps evolving. If you look at the Raimi Spider-Man movies and the terrible Fantastic Four movies from 2005, those are radically different movies than we have now. We now have superhero movies that incorporate spy thrillers. It incorporates Asian martial arts. It incorporates help me out. I'm rattling off a whole bunch of head.
Just everything.
There's
Space epic.
horror. There's superhero movies that throw in horror elements. Buddy cop elements. Like, it's evolving, and each year we're getting at least one new thing from a movie or a series of something that wasn't done before. WandaVision, who the hell thought that premise was ever going to work? And look what happened. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen, and it worked because it was something different. So no, I do not think there is superhero fatigue.
Yeah, I 100% agree with all that. I think superhero fatigue is silly. Like, you mentioned like the jackasses who just want to like start shit. Like, I don't know, like Martin Scorsese, Brad, by any chance, but which I forgot who it was, but some big person at Marvel just called him out. I think it might have been Kevin Feige, but it was one of them who said that he said that on purpose just to get attention from the Irishman, because like he wanted to get more attention, which I think it's negative attention, but hey, you know. But yeah, I agree. There's no superhero fatigue. Oh yeah, all the reasons you just said. Like, they're good movies too. Like, the Academy doesn't, like, yeah, you mentioned a few that have Academy nominations and wins. It should be more than that. Like, why should Endgame not have been nominated for Best Picture? Honestly, that movie had everything. It was extremely emotional. Like, the characters are all great. It was just so investing. Just, it was very smart too. It was just no reason why that shouldn't have been nominated, you know? So yeah, I think that if anything, it's a little bit underappreciated. So yeah, I do not agree. That's super, because it's always something new each time, like you just said. Like, Eternals looks like it's gonna be some kind of crazy. I don't even know how to describe it. It's so crazy. I can't even describe how crazy Eternals looks. But Eternals looks like it's gonna be something that we've never seen before in any movie, let alone
You can't
superhero
compare
movies.
it to the last 6 Marvel movies that came out because
Definitely not. No,
they're different.
absolutely not. They're completely different. So yeah, I'm always excited for a superhero movie, and most of them are really, really good, and they're all different. So yeah, no superhero fatigue for me.
I agree with you guys. You guys said all the points. I would like to throw a side question that I think would be pretty interesting. I'm curious to see what we all think about this, but how do we feel about, are there too many superhero movies?
Well, I think that's kind of goes along with what some, because like Cody Leach, for example, my favorite YouTuber who I mentioned to you guys, I think in his review for Black Widow, he said that's actually kind of where I got the idea for the question, where he said that he felt he was kind of fatigued by all the MCU stuff, which I thought was kind of silly because that was the first movie that we had like in 2 years, and then we just had the TV shows but for the last 6 months. So I think he's not really a big fan in general. But no, I don't think that as long as each one's good, and each one's different, I don't think it's a problem. Like we're getting 4 MCU movies this year, and each one looks radically different from the other. And 2 of them have been really good so far. I think the other 2 might be even better. Who knows?
Yeah, I feel like so if my thing is I would say yes. And it's not the answer you might exactly say. When it comes to Marvel, keep making movies. But we got to think about superhero as a whole because there are plenty of other superhero films like Project Power on Netflix that was bad and like Thunder Force, which is a superhero film. I think like because when you're talking about Marvel, they know what they're doing. And for a while DC really didn't have their landing feet. I'm talking about like all their super because we're talking about comic book movie. I feel like that's kind of different because they're basing off something, but I'm talking about like just superhero. Because if you look at like Snake Eyes, that's basically trying to be a superhero film. The Transformers movies are trying to be superheroes. I just don't understand. Like, I get why they're doing it, but it seems like everyone is trying to be a superhero franchise, the big, glamorous, spectacle that it is. I do think it's a little too much, and I wish that a lot more studios would try to focus on trying to challenge Marvel and be like, you know what, we can make something fucking cooler than you and not be superheroes. That is my take on it.
Well, Trace, what do you think?
I think that there is a fine balance right now that just like I really hate like keep bringing up F9. I really don't like bringing that up, but for my argument on F9 was there was a line, there was a fine line that the last like 3 movies before F9 was writing, and on that fine line, they didn't pass it yet. They didn't go over the line for me. I was still believing everything. Well, not believing everything, but I was still able to I don't know, but like they didn't pass that line yet. And Marvel right now, and not just Marvel, like DC and all the superhero stuff that is coming out, Sony, whatever. The same way I thought with Fast and Furious, they're on that line right now, and they have to be careful not to pass it like what F9 did. They got to be very careful right now. They got 4 movies coming out. That's a lot. And they're gonna do TV shows, Miss Marvel, Hawkeye, She-Hulk's coming out next year, Moon Knight's coming out next year on top of the movies. I think next year, if Brad asks this same question, we may all have different answers because those are just Marvel. We didn't even throw in Aquaman. We didn't throw in Black Adam. We're getting 8 Marvel things next year, pretty much. So right now they're riding a very, very fine line, and they have to be careful because it's so close right now that it can just tip.
Well, I was just saying that, like, yeah, it's a lot, but like, as long as each one's different and each one's good, which I think it will be, because they're putting a lot of care into it, I think it's gonna be fine,
We're
honestly.
saying that now, but I think that we need to have this exact conversation in 1 year from now.
Okay.
I
Well,
agree.
that would be a topic for episode. Like, what would that be? Like 60 something?
I don't know. We do one a week, so yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm totally agreeing with you on that because look at something like the Western genre. And that's what's getting compared to a lot of the superheroes. Like Western dominated much of the 50s and 60s. And we look at the superheroes, it's definitely dominating the 2010s and the 2020s. And it's not a bad thing. I think the superhero films are very good. But what started happening with the Western genre is that it really faded out. There was more new things. Superheroes, I think, will definitely live longer because they've been around for years, and the Westerns obviously been around for years and they died out, and superheroes always kind of kept blossoming. And if you look in like the span of time, we haven't really gotten that many superhero films, like it was always just the comics and then some TV shows. So I actually agree with Trace on this one because we also got the Batman next year too.
Ooh, I
Shazam
forgot
is
about
coming
that.
out. Shazam is going to be in 2023. Like there's a lot of superhero films. And to me, it's almost like I love the superhero films. I'll go see every single one of them. But how much is it when it's just going to be all superheroes and nothing else?
So
I want to see more. I want to see people coming in because if you look at other movies, like I was saying, they're trying to be superhero films. You could technically calculate Snake Eyes as a superhero film. Even the poster, one of the posters looks like a Marvel film. It's kind of crazy how they got away with it. And that is what I'm afraid of.
So like even for DC and Warner Brothers, they're not on that line that Marvel is, but they're going to be super close if they're not careful because now they're throwing HBO Max into the mix, and on top of giving theatrical releases to like Black Adam, Batman, what else is coming out?
Aquaman.
Aquaman. They're also doing two HBO Max movies a year straight to HBO Max. They're doing Blue Beetle. They're doing the kid from Blue Beetle got, or the kid from what's the karate show on Netflix? Cobra Kai. He got cast in Blue Beetle. The girl from In the Heights got cast as Barbara Gordon for Batwoman for HBO Max. There's talk that the other kid from Cobra Kai is in talks for, I think it's called Red Hood. Like,
The-
so on top of the theatrical stuff, now they're trying to do superheroes on HBO Max. So they're about to ride that fine line too.
Mhm.
Right, you're making it sound like it's gonna be like a monopoly. I think there's gonna be other movies besides superhero movies. Like Jurassic World's coming out next year. That's not a superhero movie.
No, that's true. I'm talking more of like not necessarily like a superhero film, but what scale it's going for. Because Marvel is the biggest studio there is right now. Everyone wants to be Marvel. And when everyone wants to be Marvel, they too busy trying to copy and trying to get to that level and trying to make this scope instead of just being like, okay, let's just make a really good movie. Because there's so many times where, like you said, like F9, I could see what you said, but I could also be like, they're trying to be like Marvel. They're trying to be as big as Marvel. I don't think we need that. I just don't. I don't think some of these movies need to be up on Marvel's level. I think they should challenge Marvel. I want to see DC come in and fucking challenge them. I love Marvel, but the problem is it feels like it's just that. I also get really much bothered by, like, I know people love superhero movies, but think about it. There's some people out there that just watch superhero movies. That's all they watch. That bothers me a lot because then we're not getting other interesting films, original movies. That is where it comes into the, I feel like, too much, where I want to see those movies. And, you know, like think about something like Inception, right? How massive and huge it was. And everyone loves Inception. But think about the movie. It's pretty confusing for some people. It's got a big cast and it's a really great movie. And some people may call it a masterpiece, like I would. But we may not get a lot of those movies. I mean, look at Tenet. I mean, not everyone loved Tenet. It didn't do as well because of the pandemic. I just don't want every big movie to feel like it has to be to that level.
So Jared brought up Jurassic World, and I started laughing as you were talking, not because of what you said was funny, but because you said everyone's trying to be Marvel. And I was thinking to myself, watch, next month they're going to release a poster for Jurassic World, and we're going to see a picture of Chris Pratt turned half slight body with like 15 dinosaurs surrounding him, all doing different positions, looking at the post, because that's what the Marvel posters all do, right? They have one character in the middle looking like super serious, and then they have all the side characters under and around them.
Is that true? I don't know, man.
Dude,
Shang Chi didn't do that. Eternals hasn't
yeah,
been
they
doing that.
did. Shang-Chi was right in the middle, and then they had all the little characters on the side. That's their
Okay, well,
go-to
yeah,
thing.
okay. Well, Eternals are all
Dude, look
facing
at
the ship,
Aladdin. The
but
Aladdin movie that came out did that. Um, what are
Star
the
Wars Force
Star
Awakens,
Wars? Oh my God, yes, Star Wars. Not even the Force Awakens, all the Star
all of
Wars.
them. Yeah, they load everybody on the poster.
As many people as you can. Yeah.
If
I mean, yeah, I mean, you gotta get people in.
look at the Ant-Man the Wasp poster and then look at like the newest Black Widow poster. They look exactly the fucking same. You just take out the people.
Speaking of
And
speaking of posters, there's something very nice about a poster just being super simple. Like the Logan poster, claws in the sunset. Like bam, that's all you need to know. Like that's all you need to
yes.
see. Super simple.
Mm-hmm. But that's the thing. Like Marvel can get away with shoving everybody on a poster. So everyone's like, yeah, we just got to throw everybody on a poster and we're just going to get all excited for it. I mean, think about it.
The
On
guy
the
in the
Black Widow
background
poster,
eating a sandwich, fuck, put him on the poster.
I was just going to say, for Black Widow, they put the pilot guy on the poster and he's not even like in the movie. Like,
I
what the
know.
fuck?
Yeah.
That pisses me off.
He
Like,
must have a good agent though, because his agent definitely fought for that.
He's a pretty big actor though.
I'm
yeah,
I don't recognize him.
but like,
Handmade.
I just think it's one of those things where it's like right now it seems like it's a really good time because we've kind of had a little bit of a break. But I was feeling them like, okay, I love all these Marvel shows that I'm really into them. But what's going to happen when it's so much and it's all at once? Because think about next year, though. We're going to be so cram packed. Movies are just going to keep moving and moving. Like, we are not going to see. I mean, think about how many superhero films we have next year. So or even shows altogether. Did you have like a calculation?
It's a lot.
No, off the top of my head. Okay, so Hawkeye's coming out this year, so we can't count that. Off the top of my head, we have the Marvels, we have the Marvel TV show, so that's two right there. We have
Black Panther.
Black Panther 2. Is that coming out next year?
Yeah.
Yep.
Is Ant-Man coming out next year?
No.
No.
That's the year after. Okay, so we have Thor coming out next year. We
Doctor
have
Strange.
Aquaman, Black Adam. Jared, help us out.
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange. Morbius.
Morbius.
Yeah.
The Flash.
The Flash. Oh my god.
Into Spider-Verse
Batman.
2.
That's coming out too?
Yeah.
Okay, we're at 10. And that's
The
just all
Batman.
the Batman. We're at 11.
That's the biggest one as far as I'm concerned.
God, there has to be another one. That's
There probably
basically
is.
that's basically one a month.
And then the TV shows.
And
too.
then the
It was like
TV
five
shows.
yeah, it's like 5 or 6 shows coming up.
She-Hulk, Moon Knight. I'm sure there's a TV show that I'm even missing.
Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion, yeah. Armor Wars with Don Cheadle. And then that's not
Peacemaker.
even the HBO Max stuff.
Yeah.
But think about even like original superhero films that we could see on Netflix or
There is
anything
a
of that
Sylvester
nature.
Stallone superhero movie coming out next year.
Is it called Samaritan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was supposed to come out this year. I had it pinned down. I was gonna watch it, and then they just fucking moved it.
So that's gonna be
No.
that's gonna be cool because it's gonna be definitely different and it's getting away from all the big studios. And I always like seeing like older actors like kick ass. That's always good.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like I'm in the minority on this one. I was the one that said no superhero fatigue, and you guys sound like you might be a little fatigued.
Like I said, there's that line.
Well, see, I'm not fatigued right now. I'm
No.
just saying that there might be too much, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily like a fatigue. I feel like fatigue is almost like there's too much and the content's not good. We're obviously excited for all these movies, but what happens when it's just a movie after a movie and you're like, shit, like yeah, this is awesome and this is super cool. It could get very overwhelming when you have so much on. I mean, think about it. There's a lot of people when the shows came out, and there's like a minority of people that really are not on Marvel anymore because it's too much for them. And I can understand that, but like wait till next year, But think about it. If people just watch superhero films and that's all they watch, like I have a lot of friends that just watch it, it's gonna be no problem because it's like a one a month on average. But when you add in all the other good movies coming out, it may feel like there's too much of the genre and that they're too, you know what I mean? I don't know. What do you think?
Now like I said, I completely disagree. I think that like they're pretty much all different genres anyway. Like Logan was like a Western, Shang Chi is a martial arts thing. It's like they're all different genres enough. I feel that they're different enough from each other that you can kind of count them separately.
Okay,
Yes.
so oh sorry.
I would say yes and no, because Logan, I would say because it feels the most different, but even with Shang-Chi having the mixed martial arts, it still has that structure of a superhero film. It still feels like one no matter what. Like, because if it didn't, people be like, I want more superhero stuff. Like, it has to have that big fight at the end and all the powers and stuff, So, but that obviously not a criticism, but I don't know.
You can make it because I majored in film in college, like I think I mentioned before, and like that's one thing we learned that pretty much every movie follows the same structure. There's like literally like a beats. There's like 15 beats that are like every single movie, no matter what it is, follows these beats to the letter. The only thing that's different is the details. So I think that argument can be made for any movie, really, not just superhero movies.
I mean, you could, but also superhero movies have gotten criticized over the years for being sometimes even being lazy and being formulaic and just going through the motions just because they have the characters, you know? So, but okay.
All right. Well, like I said, we can talk about this in a year and we'll see how we're feeling. But in the meantime, Brad, it was your turn to pick a movie for this week for the recommendation.
Yes. So the one I'm gonna pick is one I've already just watched yesterday, and I couldn't help myself. I had the day off, so it's gonna be perfectly in line. And it's actually a popular one, and it's Casino Royale of 2006. James Bond, star of the Daniel Craig. The reason why I picked this one is because I actually haven't seen it in a long time, and most people consider this the best Bond film. The reason why I want to be able to like maybe talk about it for a little bit or just to watch it again is just simply because like what it does right, and that some of the sequels like Quantum of Solace or even Spectre, which I still like, you see where the problems start to align. And I felt like Casino Royale was so good. And I know we're probably going to talk about No Time to Die. I know it's going to happen. So I think it'll be interesting if we talk about Casino Royale, then go to No Time to Die, where maybe No Time to Die might be the best one. I don't know. I mean, the marketing looks like it could be the best James Bond film over Casino Royale. So what better
One more
way
month,
to?
man.
Yeah, I know. I am
One
way too
month.
excited.
Can't wait.
So I know it's a more popular movie, but I almost picked that, or I almost picked one of the older James Bond films, but I think Casino Royale is definitely a really important film that it doesn't seem like a lot of people talk about as much. I don't know if you guys see that, but I never see anyone talk about it as much.
Not as much lately, but it's actually cool that you brought that up because I've been meaning to rewatch it leading up to No Time to Die. So I was gonna watch it regardless, but now this gives me like an extra reason to watch it this week instead of like next week or something like that. So I'm definitely gonna be checking it out because I was gonna be checking it out anyways before the new the new one to come out.
Nice.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you picked it for your choice because Casino Royale isn't just my favorite Bond movie and one of my favorite action movies. That's like one of my favorite movies, period. That has to be top 100. That movie is just like everything about it is just perfect. It's just so. First of all, Daniel Craig, hands down, best Bond for me. Like, because that's the first movie where they made Bond like a person instead of just like a superhero. Brad, like you were
Yeah.
just saying, like all the other Bonds are superheroes. Daniel Craig's not. It's
Well,
like he gets hurt really bad and he
yep.
has human emotions and like a backstory and all that. So yeah, I love that movie. Lashif is a fantastic villain, and the movie takes risks too. Like there's some bull pun and very much intended with the torture scene and whatnot. But even the fact that well, I guess we can talk about a little bit of spoilers, but the fate of Lashif was very, very fucking shocking. If you didn't know that was gonna happen, I was like, holy shit, okay. And just yeah, just it's a tragic story too. How like it's cool because the whole movie, he's not really Bond until the end, which I think is kind of cool too. The whole movie is how he becomes Bond because like
It's like an
it
origin
doesn't even
story,
have
basically.
yeah, like it doesn't even have the what's it called, the gun barrel thing that they always have. That's not even in there if I remember. And then at the
Yeah.
very end of the movie, I think is the first time where he says the name is Bond, James Bond, like because the whole movie was kind of leading up to him becoming Bond. I can talk about this movie all day, so I'll just cut myself off now. But yeah, it's I love that movie. I'm glad he shows it, and No Time to Die's got potential to be up there, man. I'm not gonna lie. It's our most anticipated movie of the year, both of us. So yeah, man, can't wait.
Yeah. I would love to dedicate like a whole video maybe about James Bond, or one part of the podcast is about No Time to Die spoilers, and we do another movie. I have a lot to say about the James Bond franchise, and I think there's a lot to talk about considering that they made a lot of changes to it. And James Bond has that kind of what we were talking about, where it's changing over time to like be like Star Wars, to be like these other movies. And I think it's a really interesting talk about it, if you guys are up for it.
So
But
what we could do is like the week before No Time to Die comes out, we could talk a whole episode specifically about the four James Bond movies and just do a Daniel Craig James Bond episode because we're all going to end up watching the James Bond movies anyway for No Time to Die. So the week prior, that's our homework. Is the week before No Time to Die, we all need to have the 4 James Bond movies with Daniel Craig watched so that we can spend a whole hour talking about it.
I'm not watching Quantum of Solace again, but I'll watch the
You
other
need
3.
to though, so that we can talk about it.
I just watched it like a year ago though, because I hadn't
Oh,
watched
okay,
it in a
okay.
decade,
All right.
and it still didn't do it for me.
If you can
I gave it a fair
retain,
shot. I was like, it's been a decade, and it still didn't do it for me.
all right. Well, you rewatch the other 3 then.
Oh yeah, I was gonna do that anyway. So yeah.
Nice.
All right. Well, who wants to do the closing for today?
Brad did the opening. He can keep it up, I think.
Yeah, he did a really
Close
good
us
job
out.
of the opening.
Okay, cool. Okay, guys, so this was a awesome time talking about Shang Chi, Marvel films, superhero films. I had a blast talking about you guys on it. It's probably gonna be one of the longest episodes, but I hope you guys really enjoyed this one because that's the topic to talk about these days. So if you guys want to find us on all the social media platforms, you can find me at Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Let's Be Real with Brad. So with my other co-host, Jared, where can we find you?
You can find me on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at Jared Talk Cinema, and you can find me on Twitter at Hot Sauce Hour Ago.
And you can find me on YouTube under Pierce Productions. And don't forget to tell your friends that the Only Film Fans podcast comes out on all podcast platforms every single Sunday at 9 a.m. Until
Awesome.
then, thanks for listening.
See ya.
And recording.